Hey, everybody, it's Scott Steen with winnersandwhiners.com coming to you with the weekend edition of Today in Sports Betting. And it's an exciting Saturday here, and I'll tell you why in just a minute. But to do that, I'm going to bring on my co-host, the one and only. You know him, you love him. Started at StatSalt, worked his way up to Winners and Whiners, and now he's at the very pinnacle of sports media. He's on a video with yours truly. So the one, the only, he is Scott Reichel. Scott, how are you today, buddy?
Doing pretty well. It's a pretty long pinnacle if I've been on videos with you for about 3 months. So, it's nice to be here. Nice to be back. It's nice to cover some baseball. I know that we did that a couple months ago, but now some things have changed with regard to the actual definitive schedule ideas, along with the health of some players who were injured potentially for the start of the season, but now are healthy because they just delayed the start of the season by about 3 months.
Yeah.
So some people are going to be, healthy for the entire season now. Other than that, though, doing pretty well. Pretty tired, not going to lie. Played poker for about, 8 hours yesterday. And, I was in a pretty long Omaha poker tournament. So that's kind of how my evening went yesterday.
Played a little late night PLO, did you, sir?
I did. It turned into a late night thing because I ended up making a deep run. So I played for about 7 hours straight, give or take.
Where'd you finish up?
I came in third.
Nice. And what'd that pay?
Like about 800.
That's not a bad day at all.
I would have preferred to win, but you can't win them all. So it is what it is. I was happy with the result, but at the end of the day, definitely excited to talk about baseball.
All right, very good, very good. What'd you go out on? What did you have a must shove at the end?
Not really. It was more of just the fact that I was there were 3 people left. One person had about 15 million in chips. The other person had about 10 million in chips, and I had about 2 million in chips.
Oh.
And I had ace king with about 4 big blinds with a couple other rags, but for the most part, I had like 5 bigs. I just ripped it. And I lost to like a queen high who ended up hitting a pair of eights. Nothing like serious, wasn't a cooler or anything, but at the end of the day, I was basically shoving any ace just for the double up, and
Sure.
I just didn't hit anything.
Gotta go. And then they probably went on to chop the next hand after that. They just.
No, the guy who had the 20 million chips just easily won like 5 minutes later. But,
you leaned on him.
Yeah, the point is he was just bullying everybody, but it was a matter of just not getting great cards for about a 5-minute period. But since you're only playing with 3 people,
yeah,
a 5-minute period kind of kills you. So,
all right,
well,
nice result there, bud, and congratulations. And we'll give you something to do while watching NASCAR and golf and UFC here later today. So that'll be fun. And yeah, we're back to talk about baseball, man. And you kind of hit on it. We did talk about baseball when we very first started doing these way back in March. The difference was, honestly, we had no idea if there was going to be anything even resembling a baseball season at that point. That was talking about playing the seasons in Arizona and Florida, and my, how times have changed a little bit in 3 months as Arizona and Florida, 2 of the hot spots right now for the old coronavirus. So it kind of remains to be seen what kind of impact that's going to have. A lot of things should be interesting in this season, Scott. We'll start with the fact that some of them are now making noise like they're going to have some fans. So some of these games may have fans, some may not have fans. What do you think about that?
I think that discussing the presence of fans in the middle of a huge second wave where the U.S. set the record for the most cases in a single day doesn't really seem like the greatest timing to me. But, I understand that this is also a business, and these teams are trying to make some form of money, and I'm assuming they're going to charge a pretty hefty price for these limited tickets. So I can understand it, but in reality, I think you'd probably be better off if everyone would just stay home and watch it on television. But I know that that's not realistic for a business.
It's not really what we do.
I just don't think it's the greatest timing. It's like, oh yeah, by the way, we have like this many cases. By the way, did I mention that we're going to try to get fans into the ball? I'm like, what are we talking about?
And your next ad is for Marlins season tickets, so make sure you jump all over that.
That's going to bother me because Marlins season tickets are going to jump from like $4 to $6. I mean, I don't know if I'm ready for that type of markup.
50% markup because absolutely. And we threatened to do a whole show on the virus, and we'll try not to go down the rabbit hole because it's so easy right now. There's so much going on, but we're gonna stick to the topic of baseball. We'll talk a little bit about how the virus potentially affects some of these teams. But for the most part, we're going to keep it sports related today. At least we're going to try. We'll see what happens. It's usually yours truly that puts the miner's helmet on with the light and heads down the hole. So I'll try to stay on topic today, Scott. Help me out in all that you can. I know you're tired, not firing on all cylinders. So a lot of responsibility on my shoulders today. Let's start with. You want to start with a little MVP action, Scott?
Sounds good to me.
All right, let's start with a little American League MVP. We have one prohibitive favorite. It's the guy that seems to win it. I don't. What is he? 3 of 5? 3 of the last 5? I know he's won a ton of them. Is of course the one, the only Michael Trout up there for the Los Angeles Angels. Catching him right now at plus 125. He is the only guy that is lower than 10-1. So now the challenge is going to be, Scott. I assume you're on board with me. No value on a single player at plus 125. Are we agreed on that?
I agree. I saw it was at plus 200 on DraftKings. I think that there would be potentially some very, very small amounts of value if Trout gets off to a little bit of a slow start and you see some odds go up to maybe like plus 400 at some point. So you can bet on him right before he goes on some massive streak, kind of like what happened last year.
Yeah.
But for the most part, especially in a shortened season, I feel you can agree that most of these awards are kind of just up in the air, and taking the guy who has been really great in the past. He's on pace to be one of the greatest baseball players of all time. But in the shortened season where anybody can get hot and you might see somebody bat roughly 390 for an entire season, I don't really think betting on Trout's exactly a great way to spend your money.
No, I agree. And I talked to you off air before we went live about I've got a really long shot, but I'll tell you, and it fits right into somebody that has the potential to hit 390. But for the realistic list, the first one I like on that list, and I've got him here at Bet Online at 15-1. You might have a better price than that. Is Francisco Lindor. If there's a couple options here. Number one, he gets hot, and there's a bit of a resurgence with the Indians. Number two. He gets hot, the Indians don't, and he gets traded to a contender and gets more quality at bats that people are going to see on TV and ups that case even more.
Well, for the record, if he gets traded to the National League, you automatically lose.
I understand that. That's the way that works. But, well, I mean, it's not automatic. I mean, the trade deadline, that's something we talk about too. Trade deadline is 23 games into the season?
Yeah, give or take.
So it's possible. It's in the realm of possibility that he could be traded to a team and still be the MVP after 37 games in the new league. So just for the record, normally that's the case, but this year again, it's a freaky year. So let's go with the fact that with Lindor either stays with the Indians or gets traded to an American League team. I do like the price on him. Do you have a better price than 15-1?
All I see is 10-1, so I'm kind of curious where you even got 15-1.
I'll Bet Online, buddy.
Okay, nice.
So yeah, I'll take that all day. Make that my first play there. Francisco Lindor MVP, 15-1. What do you got cooked up, my man?
So looking at some of the players available here, one option that I wasn't interested in before the schedules were released, and then now I'm interested. As a Yankees fan, I don't really see this happening, but I'll have to look to Gleyber Torres at 20-1. Simply put, he's definitely one of the up-and-coming superstars in the MLB, especially at the young age that he's currently at. The one thing that you might not know about Gleyber Torres, which isn't really saying much because the Orioles are awful against every single team, Gleyber Torres against the Orioles should be illegal. He's actually just that good. If you look at his numbers against the Orioles last year, it looked like he turned down difficulty to like rookie mode, and he was batting like 800. No, he was actually just destroying the ball every time he faced the Orioles. And as you know, based on the current schedule, you tend to play a lot of games against your division opponents this year. And if you're going to be playing roughly a fifth of your schedule against the team with arguably the worst pitching in baseball and a team that you have absolutely crushed in your entire career, I think your stats might feature some heavy, heavy outliers in there, which could definitely help his stats. I could see Torres once again batting like 400 with another 8 home runs against the Orioles, and I just think that's going to definitely boost his stats. So for that reason, plus the Yankees, as you know, are going to have a ton of people on base all the time, and Torres should have a lot of opportunities to bring in some runs via RBIs or even home runs because they're going to be forced to pitch to him. Do I think he's going to win the award? Not necessarily, but I do think at 20-1, with the amount of support he has in the lineup, you can't exactly pitch around him, and I think he should have a pretty good season.
Well, and while you were talking, I just ran the numbers there real quick. Normally, within your division, you play 19 times out of 162 games. That's about 11.3%. This season, you're going to be playing 10 games against each team in your division out of 60. That is 16.7%. So, yeah, you've got an increase of 40% more games against the crappy competition there within your division. So that's definitely something you want to look for when you are trying to pick a team or in this case an MVP off of said team, because not only do they have 10 games against the Orioles, they are also going to have 4 games against the Miami Marlins. So you've got a couple of really, really bad teams, arguably with no disrespect to the Tigers, arguably the 2 worst teams in baseball, the Marlins and the Orioles.
Yeah, let me just break this down for you. I actually have the numbers in front of me. So I said that Gleyber Torres batted, borderline 800 against the Orioles, which is a clear exaggeration. Last year, he had 66 at-bats against the Orioles. He batted .394 with 13 home runs and 20 RBIs. And now he faces them for 16% of his schedule.
It's good. It's good. That's very good. And yeah, you throw in 4 games against the Marlins. So you've got 14 of 60 games. That's roughly in the 20% range, give or take.
That's some pretty weak pitching. That should help out your numbers.
Yeah, I agree. I don't. That's a good price on him, man. I don't know. Bet online. I just got him at 10-1. So you've got him at double the money there.
Yep. That's
pretty sweet. I don't hate Judge. We'll see how he returns from his injury.
I don't know if he's fully healthy yet.
He's one of those guys you talked about that was definitely going to miss the beginning of the season, and now they're talking about
him. He should be back for the start, but truth is, nobody really knows much about his rib issue. It's kind of interesting how Judge apparently played through part of last year with a rib injury, and nobody talked about it until a couple of months before April, and they were like, "Oh, he might not be ready," and it's just a matter of nobody's really talked about him. From what I heard is that some progress was relatively slow with him, as I know that Stanton was 100% healthy again, and he was going to be back at the start. I'm assuming Judge would be healthy by now, but before you put your money on it, I would definitely look into that because there have been some rumors that Judge has progressed relatively slowly from this injury.
Okay. All right. That's very good. Yeah, I figured you as the Yankees guy would have the inside scoop on how Judge was coming along. Last I saw that he was supposedly slated for an early June return, with the regular season. So I figured.
Yeah, he should be back, but I would just double check that before you end up putting any money on it.
So how do you feel about the best player on the best team in the American League? And I know you're going to make the case for the Yankees being the best team, but it's not how it's worked out. It has been the Astros last few seasons. I like Jose Altuve at 40-1, which I think is a fantastic price. Obviously his credentials are, just about second to none as far as being able to hit for average, hits for power, especially the second base position. And again, gets plenty of exposure playing for arguably the best team in the American League, certainly the team that's got it done the most in the last 5 years or so. I like Jose Altuve at a nice price there, 40-1 to be the MVP. You got a little better number on that by any chance?
Looking for Altuve. You said 40-1?
Mm-hmm.
That's the best I got.
All right, very good. What do you think about Jose Altuve, MVP?
Well, just to be clear, and maybe you could tell the people who are listening to this video, who actually votes on the MVP?
MVP is voted on, I believe, by the National Baseball Writers. Am I correct in that?
Yes. So the question I have for you is, would any of the baseball writers vote for a team that's been part of the largest cheating scandal in the last, 100 years?
I don't know.
I think people might go out of their way to vote against the Astros. I really think that they're going to look at Altuve and some of these other guys and just immediately assume that it's tainted, and they're just not going to give it to them.
Well, I think if you put up those stats in a year where obviously there's never say no way, but there's a lot fewer options of cheating than they had in the past.
Oh, no. I'm not saying that they're going to be cheating again. I'm just simply saying that the baseball writers in the past, whether it's Hall of Fame voting or whether it's anything, have been known to kind of showcase some personal biases. And I feel like the Astros are definitely not going to be winning any awards the season after they were found guilty of some massive cheating scandal. It's possible that Altuve bats 750 and they literally have to give it to him. But in reality, I have to assume the baseball writers will simply just avoid voting for any Astros based on principle.
Well, I'll say this: I don't like him in a close vote.
Yeah, that's how I would put it.
I think he's going to have to put up numbers head and shoulders above him. 10% better than everybody else. I think it's
that's why I'd probably pass. I think 40-1 is definitely, it sounds good on paper, but if you realize that people might just go out of their way to vote against Altuve or any of the Astros guys, that probably should be a little bit higher.
Okay.
Do you think that that's a little bit excessive, or do you think that there is some merit to what I'm talking about?
I think that factor is baked into the price. I think normally you're going to see him at 25-1 in
That's
this
fair.
spot. And I think the bias is already baked in there.
You think it's baked in enough?
Yeah, I think it's a solid price. I like 40-1 on Altuve, even with all the factors. And maybe you're right. Maybe I'm counting on baseball writers to do the right thing. And if you've seen what they've done with the Hall of Fame,
that's just not going to happen.
You definitely know that's not always at the top of their list. So, who you got for your second choice there?
So looking through some of these teams here, at some point you kind of got to push the envelope a little bit. I don't know if a non-playoff team will have an award winner, but then again, Mike Trout hasn't made the playoffs in years, and he wins the MVP every year. So maybe there's a chance there. One player who it's for my least favorite team, but I love him as a player, and he's only 23 years old. It's going to be Rafael Devers from the Red Sox, and I see him currently available at 40-1. Simply put, the guy can rake. I mean, he's just a phenomenal hitter. There's no real way around it. Do I think the Red Sox are going to be that good this season? No, but I think even if they're losing games, teams might pitch to him anyway. I mean, last year he batted .311, had 32 home runs, 115 RBIs. I mean, he's just a ridiculous player. And, just simply put, I think he's just going to continue to get better and better as he's only at the ripe age of 23. So there's some potential things he could work on as he progresses. I think that he's on pace to be the best third baseman in the entire league in roughly, I'd say, 3 years and change. And I think that if you look at his numbers, he's gotten better and better every year. And I'm just a huge fan of his game. So for me, I think that if you're looking for a guy who can potentially bat, I'd say 340, 330, give or take, and have a decent amount of RBIs and a decent amount of hits, look no further than Devers. So for me, I think 40-1's a little bit too good of a price to pass up there.
And I don't know what it is with BetOnline. BetOnline has him at 15-1. So this is where we insert our daily promo about making sure you check various sources and have as many options as possible for your odds, because there are substantial differences between the sites.
You have any thoughts on 40-1 there?
I think that's a fantastic price, and I'll tell you what else I like about Devers is you touched on it briefly. He's a young guy. I think the young guys may have an advantage here to get off to a fast start, as they tend to be in better shape year round. They don't need spring training, as much to get them into baseball shape. I think these guys do a good job at keeping themselves in shape. I think the older guys try, but I think the young guys are going to have the advantage here. And you know what, Scott? Let's face some hard realities in this environment. The young guys are going to have a better chance not to be affected by COVID-19 if they should get infected. They're going to be quarantined, and and but losing a player for a week or 2 weeks in the middle of a 60-game season, that's brutal. But I think they have the opportunity to play and not get as adversely affected by the virus as older players, let's say 30 plus.
Yeah, I think that you have to wonder how much of an impact the consecutive back-to-backs are going to be for these older players compared to the younger players. Because we're talking about 60 games in 66 days?
66 days is what
I mean, that's a lot of back-to-backs they're going to have thrown in there. And I know the baseball season normally has a ton of back-to-backs, but with the lack of a full, I'd say off-season, I don't want to say training camp, but, you have to start and stop your workout plans and stuff like that. Do you think the younger guys will benefit more from that because the older guys seem to be more stuck in a general routine for the last 10, 15 years?
Yeah, I think the young guys are going to absolutely be better at adapting to a routine that's unusual. These guys, especially that have been in the same place for a long time, you get used to doing things a certain way, and there's nothing that's going to be done a certain way this season. So, yeah, I think the young guys have more adaptability as well. All right, so let's as is kind of our custom, and I don't know what you got lined up, but I'm going to take a long shot here, and I'm talking about a long shot, a guy that's really is not on a lot of boards, and that is Tim Anderson. I've got Tim Anderson, Chicago White Sox, at 150 to 1 to win the MVP. Yeah, he's got a lot of guys in front of him, but let me tell you something about Tim Anderson. This cat can flat out hit. Hit 335 last season for the White Sox. I think he's just coming into his own, and I think it's possible. There's going to be some unusual, crazy things happen this season, no doubt about it. And I think this could be one of them, that somebody just comes out of, if you'll pardon the pun, left field and takes at least one of these awards. And for me, is it worth a little pizza money to throw on there? Absolutely. Tim Anderson, 150 to 1 to win the AL MVP. Now, Scott, you can tell me why I'm an idiot.
No, I definitely think it makes sense, especially with his batting average and how he's been known to, in addition to his world-famous bat throws, he has the ability to get on base a lot. So that definitely makes a lot of sense. For long shots, I can't say there's really any that have just, are just staring me right in the face as somebody who I have to take. But if I had to go solely based on potential hitting numbers, I don't know if they're going to hold it against him because he doesn't play the field that much. But I'll look to Nelson Cruz, which is available at 125 to 1. Simply put, you bat 311 with 41 home runs and 108 RBIs, and you have even more support now because you got Donaldson in the lineup. I think that you could look for Cruz to have another big season. I know he's also 39, which is a bit concerning, but he hit 41 home runs last year, so he, I guess, just hasn't been affected by age, or like Ponce de Leon, he found a youth. So I'm just going to assume that for 125 to 1, for a guy who can potentially lead the league in home runs, I think that's definitely an attractive price for a relative long shot. So for me, 125 to 1 might be worth a little bit of a sprinkle.
And you and I kind of taken to players for the same reasons, and that is the ability to stand out in one particular statistical category. For Cruz, of course, it's the home runs. With me, it's Tim Anderson and his average. So this would be that would be crazy. Something like Nelson Cruz hitting 30 home runs in 60 games or something ridiculous like that. Tim Anderson hitting 400, something along those lines. So, and I think that's what it would take for these guys to break through. But it certainly is possible that that's exactly what happens. But all right, so that's covers us on the American League, and we need to pick up the pace here a little. Again, we're rabbit hole city here, man. I'll let you go first in the National League, Scott. Who you got?
So looking at the National League, a couple of interesting options here. The first option that I'm going to be talking about, though, is going to be one of the relative favorites, and it's going to be Christian Yelch. Simply put, I know that people want to keep talking about Bellinger and Betts, and I understand that. But at the end of the day, there's been one guy, in my opinion, who's been the best player in the National League for the last, I'd say, 3 years, give or take, and his name is Christian Yelich. And I just think that if you're getting arguably the best player in the entire league, with the exception of Mike Trout, at plus 750, I know he's coming off an injury from last year, but from what I heard from reports, he seems 100% healthy. Yeah, I just think Yelich is ridiculous. So for that reason, I'll have to go with Yelich. And you can't make the argument that maybe they'll pitch around him more, and they can't really do the same with Bellinger and Betts because the Dodgers lineup is so much deeper. But I'm just a huge Yelich guy. So for me, plus 750 seems a little bit too high. I think that line should probably be somewhere around plus 550, give or take. So for that reason, I think plus 700 has some value to it.
Or you could just use Bet Online and bet it at plus 450, which is what they have it at.
That's what I'm saying. Like they have like plus 450. I see plus 750 on Fox Bet. So for me, I think that line's a pretty attractive one that I'm not really willing to pass up.
All right, and I'm gonna play the other favorite. I'm gonna play Ronald Acuna.
I was thinking about him also, but yeah.
Yeah, I love this kid, and he is just really starting to come into his own. Hit 280 last season, OPS 883. Nothing really stands out there, but he's got pop. He's hit 41 home runs, 101 RBIs, and the nice thing about this guy, he's just only going to get better. Another kid that isn't. He's just going to be 20. He's going to be 22 when the season opens. Won't turn 23 till later this season, till later this year. I like Ronald Acuna Jr. Again, I'm sure I have a terrible price. I've got him at I've got him at 4-1.
I see 9-1.
Jeez. All right. Yeah. I need to move to New Jersey. I'm telling
you. You just need to know a
guy. You just need to know a guy. Yeah. I like that play very much at 9-1. As much as I liked him at 4-1, I really like him at 9-1.
Yeah, definitely makes sense.
And it
wouldn't shock me.
Best player, great team. Yeah.
It wouldn't shock me if Bellinger or Betts won the award. Nope. But when you have two guys on the same team who are going to be taking votes away from each other, I'm not really interested.
Always a danger. Always a danger when you've got two guys that are having great seasons, especially in a major media market like that. You're going to be on TV a lot. Yep. You definitely have the potential to steal votes from each other. So, all right. You got anybody else in the National League side?
Yeah. I'm just going to go to one. I don't want to say a long shot, but a relatively long shot at 30-1 right now. Okay. I feel like you kind of have to take Pete Alonso. I see him at 33-1 actually on Fox Bet. Simply put, I mean, he set the home run rookie record in the history of the sport. So if you are looking for a guy, kind of like what I said about Nelson Cruz, for a long shot, I know that Alonso is a lot younger and he actually plays the field a little bit, so maybe voters won't hold that against him like they would with Nelson Cruz for being a pure DH. But then again, the NL also has a DH this year. So maybe Alonso will play DH, but I'm assuming he's going to play first base. Either or, if you're looking for a guy who could potentially lead the league in a category, I feel like you kind of have to look to Alonso for potential home runs. And I think that Alonso has the ability to – I know he normally will probably hit somewhere around 270, give or take, in a normal 162-game season. For 60-something games, he could hit potentially over 300, and I expect those home run numbers to stay relatively similar in terms of percentage-wise for at-bats. So for that reason, would it shock you if he went for 24 home runs and batted like 302 with like 60-something RBIs? Probably not, and I think he'd probably win the MVP with a stat line like that. So 33-1, I'll definitely consider that.
All right. I'm going to go throwback here. I'm going to back a guy that's looking for a little bit of redemption, as he was, it seemed disappointing in his first year of playing with the Phillies, and that's Bryce Harper, as he came over in the trade from the Nationals. Free agent?
He was. I can guarantee the Nationals did not trade Harper to.
He played out his deal.
He was a free agent. He was a free agent.
So, everything's. They had quite a down season last year. He did only hit 260. However, he did end up with 35 home runs, 114 RBIs. You know what? I like the moves that the Phillies have made this year. I think they're going to get. I think they're going to get a little more national juice, and I think Bryce Harper is going to be He's going to be a leader in that clubhouse on that team. I like him to have a little redemption season and put up some solid numbers once again, maybe improving that 260 average up in the 290 range. And I think he's got the power stats that he could certainly go on a 60-game run and collect the MVP. I've got him at 15-1. I know you've got something better than that.
I see 18-1, and I just see 18-1.
Okay, all right. So not quite as dramatic as some of the other ones, but I'll take the Bryce Harper redemption tour at 18-1. So.
Fair. I mean, he's definitely a buy low guy based on how people completely just roasted him last year. I thought Alonso batted roughly 280 last year. By the way, he batted 260, so apologies there. Either or, my point still stands. The shorter the sample size for the amount of games, the more likely he is to have a higher batting average. I think that could help out. You
and I have each picked a player that hit 260 last year. I feel good.
Yes, I thought Alonso was closer to 270, 280, but I guess that was wishful thinking.
Right.
But any time where you can go for 53 home runs and 120 RBIs as a rookie, it's pretty good. That's how I'd phrase that. Plus, do I think the Mets are going to be good? I think they'll be okay. But at the end of the day, I think you can agree Alonso is one of the most intimidating people, especially in today's MLB where it's home run or bust with potentially juiced baseballs. I think that Alonso is a decent look at 33-1. Same thing with Harper. Harper definitely had a down year last year. Truth is that everything kind of culminated for him to get destroyed by the media. He got paid a ton of money. The Phillies didn't make the playoffs. The Nationals won the World Series. It was pretty much a perfect storm for the media to roast Harper as being an overrated player. And I still agree that even if Harper's slightly overrated, he's still easily a top 10 talent in the entire league. And he has the ability to, at any point, hit 320 with, a bunch of RBIs and a bunch of home runs. So if he gets hot, you got to watch out.
Yeah, that's what you're looking for, 60-game runs here. Absolutely. I do like Alonso as far as the home runs go. He's the second favorite behind Joey Gallo of the Rangers. I like Alonso to lead both leagues in home runs. I've got him at 10-1. Might be a little better price out there than that, but I think that's solid value right there.
Yeah, I see Alonso as well at 10-1. Actually, I see him at 11-1 on DraftKings. If I was going to lean to anybody for that, I'd have to lean to Alonso. That seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah, I think that's where the value is. Looking here at you and I talked about this. I'm not quite ready to talk about rookies yet. I want to see who's going to be in the mix, and do a little more research as far as who's going to play and who isn't. Anything else stand out at you there as far as any of the awards go? I've got looking at Cy Young here.
Cy Young is very, very tricky because you don't really know either A, how many innings the average pitcher is going to be going in a shortened offseason, and B, if they're going to come out extremely flat or not, which you have to be concerned about. The question that I was actually wondering about earlier this week. Do you think there's some potential value on taking a reliever to win the Cy Young because they're going to make a lot more appearances and it's a lot easier probably to return from a very start-stop off season if you're only pitching one inning as opposed to like six?
About a closer?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if a closer puts up 20, 21 saves.
I'm just wondering how many, if you really think a starter is going to put up insane numbers when you're only going to have roughly, 10 starts max, 11 starts max?
Yeah, 12 starts you're going to get.
That's what I'm saying. So if you compare that to a reliever who might potentially make 20 to 30 appearances, I mean, if you're appearing in arguably half your games, I feel like you might have a shot there.
Got anybody in mind?
Well, for the National League, looking through it, I think Josh Hader at 150-1 is a little bit high to me.
I'll tell you what I like about Hader, and then I'll let you get back. But I like the fact that Council's not afraid to use him
Oh, he
situations.
runs him into the ground every year.
Yeah,
But
like a true fireman. He's not afraid to bring him in the seventh inning if that's your high leverage situation. So I do like Hader. He picks up 2 inning saves. And nobody when he's on, there's no reliever better in baseball for my money.
the question that I have is, how does Hader have the same odds to win the MVP, to win the Cy Young as Edwin Diaz?
Good question. Well, how about can I interest you in a little Mike Minor at 40-1?
Wait, Mike, we're talking about the NL or the AL?
I'll talk about the AL. Sorry, that just is ridiculousness that stood out at me.
Yes, I was looking at the NL and I noticed the Hader thing, so that kind of stood out to me. I mean, one guy, I'm kind of sticking to that idea though, where I feel like if you're really going to be betting on a starter for the Cy Young, I don't think there's really any value on anybody because you don't know how the person's going to look when they come back from the long layoff, and I feel like you can limit the variance a little bit if the guy you bet is going to be making a lot of appearances and they're all going to be relatively short. But do you think that starters might be more likely to only go 5 or 6 innings because, at least for the start of the season, because of the lack of a full offseason? So that's what I'm saying. So that might just absolutely kill some starters because you might say, well, this person has an ERA of like 2 point whatever. And you say, yeah, but he's only gone more than 6 innings once. Like I just don't – I think there's too much variance with the starters, and that's why I'm kind of looking at closers here for some of the Cy Youngs here because at 150-1 at arguably every single price, I just think that number is too high. Yeah. And if you're looking at a guy, for example, you want to look at a Liam Hendricks, closer for Oakland. Oakland's pretty good. They use Hendricks a lot. I believe he made the All-Star team last year. He's also 150-1. And Oakland – I just think that if Oakland's going to win a lot of games, they tend to win games close. They're going to be using Hendricks a lot, and the rotation's not that great either. So you might be looking at a lot of bullpen appearances for some of these guys. And I think if you're looking for a closer, 150-1 might be worth a sprinkle on a couple of people.
Okay, not a bad theory. And of course,
I know it's probably not going to win because one starter is going to go 8-0 with a 1.2 ERA. It's coming, but. And just conceptually speaking, I think that you can limit some of the variance on some of these starters in a shortened off season or an elongated off season. I'm not really sure. It really depends on how you look at it. Right. But I think that you can cut into some of that uncertainty by taking a reliever.
Well, and the problem with Liam Hendricks is
that's just an example.
Well, I love him, but the problem is he plays for Oakland, and nobody knows about him.
That's fair.
Nobody sees their games. Nobody that's they've already written their stories by the time the A's are done. So as far as a reliever goes, I think he's probably the best reliever, probably the best closer in the American League.
Truth is, as a Yankees fan, I like Chapman. I do think Chapman's a little bit overrated, but I do think he's very talented. Hendricks is very good. If you've not watched Oakland, he's got a lot of talent. So
absolutely, he really is. All right, so let's and we've got I think we've got a few baseball shows in front of us, my friend.
I think we do as well.
Let's take a look at some of the team stuff, at some of the futures. And today we're going to break down, and we're coming up this week. We're going to break everything down by division. I think we're going to do it by region. So we're going to do the 2 East teams on one day, the 2 Central teams, blah blah blah. But let's start with an overall look here at see if we can find some World Series of value. Right now, the Dodgers are the favorite to win the World Series. I've got them at 475. I've got the Yankees at 550, and then it's pretty much everybody else. Do you feel those are the 2 teams? Do you think they've got the 2 favorites, right, Scott?
475. Okay, that's pretty high. I mean, I'm seeing like around plus 375 for both the Yankees and the Dodgers.
Such a weird site. These numbers are so weird. Like on Josh Hader, by the way, I had him at 50-1.
Okay.
So you've got 3 times the value there, but then when it comes to the World Series odds, I've got a better price. I don't know. Check your prices, everybody. That's what we're saying. Check those numbers every day. Who's most likely to disappoint their fans of those two teams? Let's start there, Scott.
Comparing the Yankees and the Dodgers.
Yeah, since there's two teams that are such favorites, which team is most likely to let their faithful down?
It's really a tricky one because the Dodgers have been known to be playoff choke artists, and that's kind of their MO, especially with Dave Roberts at the helm. They ended up losing to the Red Sox in the World Series. They had the controversial loss in game to the Astros, which I thought the Astros are the better team. But I mean, when you're getting told what pitches are coming, that doesn't exactly help the Dodgers' chances of winning. And then you also had that massive choke job against the Nationals last year, which I'm still salty about because I had the Dodgers winning that series 3-2, and they blew a 2-run lead in the in the later innings, which was upsetting. But at the end of the day, the Dodgers at least have gotten to the World Series twice. And as a Yankees fan, I know that, the Yankees always have huge expectations, rightfully so. You know how many World Series they made in the 2010s?
None.
0.
None.
So if I had to lean to who's going to disappoint their fans, I kind of got to lean to the Yankees because the Dodgers, even though they haven't won it either, at least they've gotten there twice lately. And I just think that the National League, even though it might be deeper than the American League this year, which is a bit concerning, I just think this Dodgers team is just so good. I mean, the Yankees, I know their team's very good also with the acquisition of Garrett Cole and everybody. This Dodgers team is just so deep and their division is so bad that I just think that the Dodgers are pretty much going to take a nap en route to the playoffs. And I think that if you want to talk about teams that can get hot 1 through 9, the Yankees are definitely up there. But that Dodgers lineup is just something else, especially with a DH now.
Right. That's the point I was going to make. This is a team that, struggles to find enough positions to plug in all the bats they have on that bench. So, yeah, that gives them one more very real live bat in the lineup with the DH. I think the Dodgers with the DH are going to be definitely formidable.
I wouldn't bet on either of them, just for the record. But at the end of the day, if I had to lean to who would disappoint more, it's going to hurt me to say this, but as much as I dislike Dave Roberts as a manager, I'm not exactly that high on Aaron Boone either. So I'll lean to the Yankees.
Well, and I've got the same problem with both of these teams, and I know you're going to laugh at me for one of them. And that's the rotation. I don't know, after Garrett Cole, you've got Tanaka, and that's the only two guys on that staff that had a sub-4 ERA last season.
Well, Tanaka's phenomenal in the playoffs, but I'm not a huge Paxton guy.
Right.
I think Paxton's okay.
Yeah, that's really your second arm. I'm sorry, Paxton was the only, not Tanaka, Paxton.
Severino's also good, but he's had some injury issues, and I don't know what the story is with German, who ended up getting suspended because of domestic violence. He might come back maybe midway through the year, and he had a ton of wins last year. So the Yankees have a lot of wins, but when you're getting 7 runs of support, I don't know if that really means that you're a phenomenal pitcher or not. I do think that the top of the Yankees rotation is good, but I think the Dodgers rotation with Buehler and then again you have to worry about Kershaw, so that kind of balances out.
Well, yeah, I mean Herman goes 18-4,
yeah,
with a 4.03 ERA and a 1.15 WHIP,
yeah,
which
it's a lot of run support.
Yeah. So again, can you count on that? I don't think so. I'm just not sure. And I really don't like this rotation at 162 games. I think it helps the Yankees that they contracted the season. But yeah, I'm not convinced of that lineup. And I know the offense is going to take care of a lot of problems with the rotation. So we'll see how that goes. And that's the thing with the Dodgers after they got rid of Hyun-Jin Ryu. They're down to Kershaw and Buehler, which is certainly a great 1-2 punch. But they're counting on David Price to have a bounce back season. And again, certainly could happen. David Price, one of the finest pitchers in the last decade or so, but he didn't show it last year. And then you're counting on Urias and Wood both to stay healthy and to dominate. So I'm not sure. I don't love either one of these rotations, Scott. I just don't. I mean, and obviously they've got some talent out there. And when you match them up with other rotations, they're certainly right there. But
I don't see much value in either of these teams.
Yeah, I don't think they have the talent in the rotation to just make this sort of prohibitive price attractive. I'm gonna look second tier stuff, as I'm sure you are.
I already know where we're both gonna end up going here. I think I can already tell. We're looking at Atlanta 13-1.
I've got I've got it at 25-1.
I'm sorry, what?
Are you looking at World Series or ALC or NLCS?
I'm looking at World Series. I see the Braves at 13-1.
I've got the Braves at 25-1 on Bet Online right here, bud.
That is correct. I think that's a must bet.
Yeah.
I don't know how you don't take 25. Okay.
I know.
I think you make the argument that they're the third best team in baseball.
Yeah, I absolutely. Now, I know you're getting dinged on the Braves because they have to fight their way out of a much tougher division setup than certainly the Yankees and arguably the Dodgers as well, as they've got a lot of competition there in the NL East. But man, you talk about a pitching staff. You know, I like that pitching staff quite a bit. And that's what I look at when you look at Mike Soroka, who quietly had a fantastic season last year. You know, not a lot of people were talking about him, but holy mackerel, did we ride him hard when it came to betting. He goes 13-4, 2.68 ERA with a 1.11 WHIP. And this again, here's a kid who is just only going to get better. He'll just be 22 when the season starts. And I like this Brave staff quite a bit. Obviously, we already talked about Acuna. Yep. That's hard to pass up right there at 25-1. I think
I'm shocked those lines were even available. But for example, if the Astros at 12-1, Twins at 16-1, the A's at 20-1, and the Rays at 20. How are the A's and Rays ahead of the Braves on Bet Online? I don't know what's going on there.
I know it's a crazy sight. You know, the Rays, you can make the case with their pitching staff, okay, but they don't have the talent, they don't have the bats that
they're not the favorites to win their own division.
No.
Same thing with Oakland. So you're basically saying that two potential wildcard teams are favored over the Braves.
Although the Braves are co-favorites, they're not clear favorites to win the division. I got the Braves and the Nats both at 2-1.
Yeah, but the Nats also ended up losing Rendon, so I think they'll take a step back.
I know. Again, you're looking at pitching as well. I like that's going to be my favorite pick on the board.
I didn't realize you had 25-1. I feel like that's an auto bet at that point.
Yeah, it is. In fact, I'm going to make that as soon as we get off here, bud. That's going to be. I'm not afraid to tie up a few ducats with that and I'm going to make a pretty substantial play on that. I like that. Anybody else grab your eye at the? Are you an Astros fan? You like this Astros team?
No. It's not just because of bias for being a Yankees fan and they lost. The truth is I'm just not a Dusty Baker guy at all. Yeah. I think Dusty Baker is the equivalent of the Tom Thibodeau of the MLB. He'll ride all of his players into the ground in the regular season. Then as soon as they get to the playoffs, their pitchers have no arms anymore. Yeah. And they immediately lose in the first round of the playoffs. That's kind of the Thibodeau special. I'm going to let all my players play 45 minutes a game in the regular season for 80-something games. And then as soon as we get to the playoffs, my team has no stamina. That's how Dusty Baker has pretty much made his entire career. He just wins. He wins division titles, and then for some reason, using the same reliever for like 4 straight days tends to backfire in the playoffs in the middle of October, and people are just shocked that something went wrong. I'm just not a Dusty Baker guy.
And I'll tell you what, he's got 2 pitchers at the top of that rotation that are getting up there in years and never want to come out in Justin Verlander and Zach Greinke.
And he also lost Garrett Cole. So that rotation
obviously lost Garrett Cole. That's a you can't overstate the impact that has on your rotation.
Are you also against Dusty Baker? Because I just don't think I think he's a good manager if you want to win regular season games. For playoff success, he has 0. So I don't want to say it's 0 because, I mean, the Giants lost in Game 7 of the World Series. But either or, I just don't think he doesn't have the greatest postseason resume. of Madden.
No, and the one thing you may have going for him is the fact it's going to be harder to wear these guys out in 60 games than it would be 162. So his unorthodox style of well, it's not really unorthodox. It's more old school of just leaning on these veterans.
Pitch counts. What the hell's a pitch count? Verlander, go back out there.
Right. Yeah, not a big pitch count guy. And the rest of this line, again, the rest of this rotation, I hate to sound like a broken record. You're counting on a bounce back year after from Lance McCullers, who basically missed all of 2019.
You also have like Urquidy and some other.
Right. You've got Urquidy, and then it's pretty much spit for the crack for your fifth spot in the rotation there. So I don't know that this rotation is going to hold up. But you get an injury from Verlander or Greinke, arguably, two guys that have been very durable. But when you get up 35 plus, you know what? Injuries are going to happen. It's just the way it works, especially without a ton of spring training to get their arm in shape. It was again a start and stop situation. Greinke's got 37, and Verlander is going to be right up there as well. Verlander also going to be is 37 as well. So, yeah, color me a little skeptical of the team that's being led by a pair of 37-year-olds at the top of the rotation, Scott. A lot of things have to go right, I think, for the Astros to get there. And so if we're going to toss out the Astros, does that mean we're going to look at the guys in the Kelly green and gold out there in the Bay and take a spin of the Oakland Athletics? And again, I've got a price on that I don't really like.
I see 25-1 here.
You know what? That's getting closer. I've got it at 20. You throw an extra 25% value on there for me, I might get interested. I might be a buyer on the A's at 25-1. And because that's the thing, you have to look at. And we haven't touched on this a lot. The way the season is going to break down. Each team is going to play 10 games against their own division teams and 4 games against the corresponding division in the other league. So not only are the Astros have a pretty easy time of it there in the AL West. They obviously have the Astros, but then they do have the Angels, Rangers, and Mariners. But you throw in the National League West, where you've got the Rockies and the Giants. There's a potential to win a ton of games there for the Oakland Athletics. So is this the year the Athletics finally put it together and find out the Astros are no longer their daddy? I
personally, I like Oakland as a team. I still think Houston's the class of that division, just the way it is. And for me, if I'm going to be – I know that the season's shorter, so you could have one team get hotter, and, you've seen stranger things in baseball. I can't bet on a World Series future when I think my team's playing in the wild card game.
Well, fair enough. Yeah, and I'm under the – I agree with that. I agree with that premise. I'm under the hypothesis here that the A's overtake the Houston Athletics.
I don't. I think Houston's just more talented.
Well, okay. So if we want to talk about an easy path to the playoffs, let's talk about the Minnesota Twins.
Yeah.
I think that's the
the safe play if you want to go for it. I mean, if you want to talk about lines here, it's pretty much primarily available at 16-1.
Yeah, that's what I've got it as well.
I think if you want to put a little sprinkle on the Twins and a little sprinkle on the Braves, that's a pretty solid future. That's a pretty solid group of futures to go into the season with. Yeah,
I agree. This is So let me ask you: you looking forward to this? You think it's going to be fun? You think it's going to be a big cluster flock?
Well, it's the first time I ever heard the word cluster flock, but yeah. Overall, I think it'll be okay. I definitely think that it's going to be, of course, it's better than no baseball. And people who have actually gone out of their way to watch the Korean Baseball League, mostly gamblers, I think will be thrilled that they can actually go to bed at a normal time.
Right.
Staying up at 5 a.m. But for the sake of the season, are we assuming that there's going to be no outbreaks, or are you talking about just take everything as it may?
I think you're assuming there are going to be outbreaks, and you're going to have to play by ear.
Okay, so from that perspective, I think it's okay. I think it's relatively gimmicky, but at the end of the day, the labor negotiations and everything that happened kind of left a sour taste in my mouth. Not going to lie. And it's better than nothing, but I can't say that I'm, shaking in my seat out of excitement. It's a matter of, oh, we got baseball on. All right, cool. I got something to watch on TV now. But I'm not going to be jumping for joy saying this is the greatest day of my life. I think it's going to be okay.
Could have had 112 if they'd been able to pull their.
I'm more to be clear. I'm more excited about hockey and basketball returning than a 60-game baseball season. But that's just my personal preference. I think it should be fun. It'll be unique. I hope the players don't get injured for playing so much in such a short period of time with a limited, training, whatever. They got roughly a month to get back in shape, I believe. They're reporting early July, and the season starts like July 24th.
Right.
You have about a month maybe to get back.
Closer probably to 3 weeks, buddy. But yeah,
give or take. Yeah. So you have to wonder if some players will have some injuries or stuff like that. But I think the extra innings rule is ridiculous. I think that rule is extremely stupid. But I understand why they're doing it because they need games to finish quicker so they can play more games in rapid succession. I'm a fan of the DH in both leagues. I hate seeing the pitcher bat. I think it's just a waste of time. I've seen too many pitchers get injured running the bases. I just think that it's not worth it.
There's nothing better to play that first 5 under and have 2 guys on, 2 outs, and see that picture.
And you intentionally walk the 8-hitter to pitch to the pitcher.
See that pitcher coming to the plate in the bottom of the 5th, man. That's a beautiful thing. But
I think it's going to be a good year for overs. You have a lot of starters with a lot of uncertainty, and you actually have 9 capable batters in the lineup. I think total. Do you think that'll affect totals at all or no? Like, do you think a pitcher batting is worth half a run? I'm just speculating here. Do you think that'll have do you think that you should see an average?
That seems to be. I'm just trying to think. That's about how it seems to go.
I mean, I know National League games are a lot lower scoring than American League games.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about handicapping. I think that's about right. I think that you're getting about a half a run.
Do you think you'll see? I think you'll probably see higher totals this season anyway, just because of more uncertainty with the pitching staff. But I have to assume if you have to deal with 9 capable batters instead of 8 capable batters, you should see a decent amount of high totals. Or if not, if the markets don't adjust, I think betting some overs could definitely be a profitable angle. What do you think?
Almost seems like there ought to be like 8.5% more runs scored. I'm just saying.
I'm assuming we're in agreement there. I'm assuming you expect to see a decent amount of runs this year.
I would say yes. I'm not sure what kind of shape these guys are going to be in. Generally speaking, the pitchers are going to be a little bit ahead of them after spring training is over. Timing isn't quite back yet. You're moving from unrealistic environments to your actual home environment. So, generally pitching is going to rule the day to start with. Now, how that's going to work out with only a 3-week spring training.
That's the point. I got to assume that at least the public always slams overs. But I think you might see a decent amount of double-digit run games early in the season as pitchers start to get their arms back.
Right, and I think that's going to affect it more than anything else is managers not wanting to have those pitchers go a lot of innings early in the season.
How many teams actually have good bullpens? Not many.
When you look at the starting rotations, how many have bad bullpens. Here's the other thing, Scott, that people don't look at. People are going to have to look at this season. Normally when you start the year coming out of spring training, you're starting in late March, early April. A lot of the venues, you're playing cold weather, man. You go to a Royals game in early April, you've got a good chance of it being in the low 40s at night with a north wind blowing out of left field. And there's a lot of places around the country that are just like that.
I'm just imagining the snow in Detroit that you usually get once every time in April. You have to cancel a game for snow.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you've got all of the Northeast. You've got Boston. You've got New York. To a lesser extent, you've got Baltimore. So you definitely have some. All the Ohio teams, there's always some horrible weather coming off the lake there in Cleveland.
You're just diving right into just immediate 90-degree weather in the summer where you tend to have a lot more runs scored. I think total should be higher.
Exactly. That's thanks for limiting me there to 10 minutes to make a 30-second point.
It's all good.
That's exactly right. So I think we have to factor in that as well. So we'll have to see. I think there will be more runs scored, and we're assuming, of course, the ball that's not juiced is still juiced from last season.
You got to save some ratings. I got to assume it has to be juiced, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, all right, man. Well, we did it. We've got we've sussed out a couple of unlikely favorites there for World Series, for MVPs. And yes, guys, this is a lot different than the last time we looked at baseball, because this time we know as much as we can know that there's actually going to be a season. I was going to say we're positive there's going to be a season. Nothing is certain in today's environment, but it looks like there's going to be an actual baseball season, which is a lot different than when we talked about it in March, as we knew some of the plans that we were discussing then were probably pie in the sky things that were never going to happen, aka playing all the games in Arizona or something like that. So it's nice. It'll be weird. It'll be weird to hear the fans bitching that haven't been watching Korean baseball or haven't been watching any other sports with no fans. If you've watched wrestling or if you've watched Korean baseball, you pretty much know what it's like with no fans. But if you haven't seen those two sports, you're going to be in for a shock. You're going to be in
Korean baseball. If you actually watched a bit of it, the no fans hasn't really bothered me that much, because most of the time you just hear the announcers rambling on about something that doesn't have anything to do with the game. If you're so used to baseball announcers, you kind of just hear stuff about their old playing career or some random rants about food or something. Usually
Right.
announcers are kind of all over the place. You asked me the question, but I'm going to ask you, are you extremely excited about the upcoming baseball season, or you're kind of on the fence?
It's hard to separate professional from personal, Scott.
I know that you're personally a huge baseball guy.
Yeah, I am.
And I also like baseball a lot, but from a professional standpoint, I'm a little bit skeptical.
Yeah, I am. No, I just meant from a professional standpoint, I'm ready to get back to work,
Yeah.
So I'm anxious to have a quote unquote the big four back. Yeah, they could have done better. Yes, almost certainly with everything they did in this ridiculous negotiations and whatnot. They could have done a better job. I'm excited about it. It's going to be. I like chaos, Scott. I really do.
Yeah,
And this is going to be an absolute chaotic season. I'm not in spite of my age, I'm not necessarily an old school baseball guy. I like the improvements. I like the way the game has changed, and it's going to be a season for the ages. It's going to be something to see. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. To answer your question, yes, I'm excited for this baseball season. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be nuts. People are going to bitch about it. It's going to be every day. There's going to be people bitching about it. You go on baseball Twitter, you go on gambling Twitter, people are going to be bitching, and I love that. They're going to be complaining about no fans. They're going to be complaining about the no DH in the National League. They're going to be complaining about the guy on second to start the 10th inning. They're going to be complaining about all of it. I love it. Bring me some baseball. Bring me some chaos. Show me some opportunities to make money. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like your last point says it all. You have a chance to bet on it. You didn't have the chance before. So, yeah, definitely better than betting on Korean baseball at 5 a.m. or betting on whatever. So
yeah, even under the worst of circumstances, I know a hell of a lot more about the Tampa Bay Rays than I do about the Lotte Giants. Sorry, that's just the way it is. I'll take my baseball such as it is. And
do you think people stop betting on Korean baseball once the MLB comes back, or do you think
yes.
some people are in so deep they're just going to keep doing it?
No, I think there's a small percentage of people that will keep doing it. I think it will be Korean baseball was a placeholder that I think will be joining the pantheon of the CFL in the summer. I
got to give them props though; they did a pretty good job holding the place.
Yeah. That's I'll tell you what, I'm intrigued enough that I really like to see it with fans now, because they got the cheerleaders and it's a whole different, more like a college football environment. So I would be.
I've watched a bit of it. They've done a really good job during the pandemic of actually providing some type of content. And I know that most people haven't watched it live because of the time difference and how they're playing at 6 a.m. But in reality, not an awful product over there.
No.
I feel like some people are genuinely surprised by how well it turned out for the KBO.
Hitters are good. Pitchers
are awful.
Yeah,
pitchers are terrible.
I would call them double A, high.
It's MLB rejects and a bunch of below average minor league pitchers.
I would call them high double A, low triple A type of pitchers. Most of them, they're on the
sounds
side.
Right.
All right, bud. Well, we're gonna have some fun. We got a fun weekend coming up. We've got, as we mentioned, NASCAR doubleheader today and tomorrow. We've got golf today and tomorrow. UFC tonight. What else?
Yeah, I was gonna say UFC.
Yep.
Got what I'm looking forward to.
So yeah, should be a blast. And for better or for worse, love it or hate it, baseball's coming, guys, and we're going to be here to talk about it. So, Scott, any final words?
No, looking forward to going through baseball pretty much all of next week.
Yeah, should be fun. We'll be back Monday to recap the weekend, and then they're probably going to be heading head first into baseball. So for myself, for Scott Reichel, as always, we thank you guys for stopping by. Don't forget to stop by. Check out winnersandwhiners.com as we've got starting to get that baseball content ramped up. So make sure you stop by. Check out all the great handicappers that we have over there, winnersandwhiners.com, and our sister site at statsalt.com as well. For all of us, Winners and Whiners, for myself, for Scott, we appreciate you guys stopping by. Couldn't do it without you. Let's go have some fun, everybody. Let's go out there and make some money this weekend. And, keep some of your powder dry because baseball is going to be starting up, right? And then the NBA and NHL right behind it. Don't be throwing all your ducats on Korean baseball and NASCAR. Keep a little bit of that powder dry because we got some games coming up, all right? You guys take care. Have a great weekend. Hope everybody stays safe, stays healthy. And, we'll talk to you next time, all right? Take care. Bye-bye.